I want to live in a safe fucking country, all right? I want the border to be secure. I want the for the actual quote of what you said that he said.
First of all,
he ordered death.
Number one,
Bullshit.
It's treason to talk to China behind.
Donald Trump did not threaten to kill General Milley. He didn't say he should be killed. He wasn't calling for the death of General Milley. None of those statements are true. And to hear them being repeated by people who like to talk about misinformation and disinformation and, how people are, spreading lies and all this kind of stuff, and then here you are doing the same thing. Donald Trump has done a lot of very, very bad things, very corrupt things, even criminal, right? I mean, we'll see what the jury says. He's still got some outstanding illegal actions going, but there's a lot to critique him on, right? You look at his connection to January 6th and what happened on January 6th, very dishonest people or low IQ people or both would like us to focus on one statement he said on that day about peaceful and ignore the entire context and everything else he said, everything else he did. Just ignore all of that. Like, you could have said 100 things, but this one line, because at one point in time he said peaceful, right? Which means they're basically saying that, supposedly they're that easy to fool. So I could actually inspire a violent event. And as long as I say the word peaceful at one point in time in the day, these people are claiming that they have my back and say I said peaceful. That's what they're claiming. But I don't really believe it. I don't really buy that. But the people who talk about misinformation, disinformation, running around talking about something that Trump absolutely did not say. What he said was bad enough, right? And again, there's no shortage of bad things that Trump has done or said to critique. So why do we need to stretch things? This is one thing I find it's very annoying, right? It's the same thing like TYT with race. There's certainly racial issues in this country. There are systematic issues. There are individual issues as well, incidents that have happened where, we've seen, racism in this country. So the truth is bad enough, but TYT, that's not good enough. They have to stretch it. It's like the supply of racism is not high enough for the demand that they're seeking to fulfill. So with all the stuff that we have on Trump, still, it's not enough. It's a greed with these people. Let's look at what Donald Trump actually said. And again, what he actually said, what he actually did, the truth is bad enough. What he said was disgusting. What he said could lead to the death of this general. It could be seen as stochastic terrorism. Absolutely. And if that's the argument you're making, I'm with you. But to say he said something he didn't say, and then critique others for being dishonest when you're being dishonest, wow. You could interpret his intentions. He said this because he wants someone to kill General Milley, right? But say that, right? Say what he actually said and clarify what your opinion is of what he meant by that. But don't go around saying he said something he didn't say, right? Because then people who don't have the full context of why you're saying what you're saying, they're simply hearing your words saying Trump called for the death of this guy, or Trump was saying he wanted to kill this guy, or something like that. Someone who doesn't have all the context, and they just hear you saying that, and they believe what you're saying, and in their minds, they believe the words that you're saying. So they're expecting that somewhere he said, General Milley should be killed, or I hope he dies, or something like that, when he didn't say that. So then they go watch some right-wing propagandists who can show what he actually said, and then you lost credibility. And then that's the one thing that they can use to get people to believe their lies. This one truth. The fact that Trump didn't say that, and now there's a whole bunch of people on the left saying that he did say that. And I can show, no, he said, that's not what he said, they're lying. Then the person has a curiosity. Wow, this person is telling me the truth. These people are lying. I wonder what else these people are lying to me about. And then this person, I'm sure, has other videos and other comments about other things that they lied about. And just like how, you have many people uncritically listening to those saying, hey, Trump said this, Trump said that. And like, oh, that bastard. This same person now is going to go listen to this right-wing propagandist who's going to lie about a bunch of other things, right? Bring you in with the one truth, right? Expose the other side lying about this one thing and bring you in. And now I'm going to lie to you a bunch of other things, right? Which you're not going to fact check. You're not going to look into. I'm going to keep hardening you against that other side. Yeah, they're liars. They always lie and this and that. And they're afraid of Trump and because he's anti-establishment, da, 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 da. And every day, now you're watching my content. Every day I'm feeding you, yes, this and that and that and that. And they just want to indoctrinate our children and da, 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 da. Right? Before you know it, I got you all angry and frustrated. You've been lied to, right? And I'm telling you all this stuff and like, they said this and that's not true. and I already exposed one lie, so you assume that this is another lie I'm exposing, right? Why are you going to go and look into things? The other side lied, and this person showed you that they lied. So obviously, this is the person who's telling the truth. So now I'm gonna trust this person. So now when they say a bunch of other nonsense, I'm just soaking it in, and now I'm being sort of indoctrinated into this angry, hateful, those people are trying to ruin the country, and they're nothing but lies, and they're the liars. What did Trump actually say? Let's find out. We do that. Let's look at what people are saying, right? What is the media saying? Okay, so here we go. So Atlantic says Trump suggests that Mark Milley deserves execution. I think that seems to be more accurate than him calling for death. So kudos to the Atlantic. Trump suggests General Mark Milley deserved death. So CNBC, a little bit more integrity there, apparently. And that's not really a good news source, I would say. Trump comment about punishing General Milley with death. Comment about punishing. Okay, that's kind of ambiguous. Milley says Trump deserves U.S. military, disrespected U.S. military with execute. I have to look at what that said. Death. Donald Trump ramps up on GOP attack. Trump says death to top says death to top U.S. general for his China dealings. That's an interesting choice of words. Trump says death. What does that mean? Trump says death. So, and he says to top U.S. general. So it's like he's talking to the general, and he looks at him and he says death. I don't know, man. That's India today. Trump suggests Mark Milley should be executed. Suggested he should be executed. Former chief of staff says Trump something else. Bash Trump over Milley death comment. Milley death comment. Death in quotes. Okay. So I want to let you guys understand how I look at things, right? Before what you're seeing right now, I skipped several stories. There's like a political story, a CNN story, the Atlantic story. Why did I skip them? Why did I not, comment based on what they showed? Because all they did is they just quoted one or two sentences from what he said. They didn't give the full context, right? And also, when you're literally typing up what he supposedly said, I'm trusting a third party's interpretation of what he said, or I'm supposed to trust that you didn't make any accidental typos. One word that he said and you changed it to a different word by accident or intentional, right? I'm supposed to trust that. No, I want to see what he actually said, the full context, and I want to see the actual screenshot of his post, right? So that's what we have here. But I just want you guys to understand behind the scenes how I look at things, right? There's many sources that I could have stopped with that would help me make my point, but I'm not interested in just making a point. I'm interested in the truth. In order for me to get to the truth, I have to look at what he actually said in order for me to challenge and critique how people are portraying what he said. So this is his actual words. So we see death is at the end. So he's complaining about the China call, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But we go down to the bottom, you see it says, this, right here, this is an act so egregious that in times gone by, the punishment would have been death. A war between China and the United States could have been the result of this treasonous act to be continued. So, what is Trump actually saying versus how they're communicating it? So saying that back in the day, the punishment would have been death is not threatening to kill him, is not saying he should be killed. I think it's even a stretch to say, some people are saying that he's implying that he deserves death. Imagine that a family member steals something from me. Imagine that a family member steals something from me, and I'm very upset about it. And there was a time in the past, in the dark ages, where stealing from a family member would result in, cutting off your arm. They would cut your arm off for doing that. And I'm so upset that I want to emphasize how upset I am and how bad it is that you'd steal from your own family. And I say to you, back in the day, people would cut your arm off for this, man. That's a very aggressive thing to say, but I think it's a stretch for you to translate what I'm saying to I'm saying that the person deserves, like, just because we used to do things a certain way in the past, right? Me pointing that out is not, it's not necessarily me suggesting that that's the right thing to do or that's what's called for. I could just be stressing how, like in his own words, how egregious the thing is, right? this thing is so bad that back in the day they would kill you for it, right? I mean, the idea that there was ever a time that something would be punishable by death sends a very clear message about how serious the thing is, and that could be the point. Now, knowing Trump, he could very well be using a form of stochastic terrorism where you don't actually say the thing overtly, what you want to happen. You just kind of put ideas in people's heads, and you have enough people listening. There's a crazy guy that's listening, and they might be inspired to act based on that. I wouldn't put past him that that's what he's doing, but that's an opinion, right? You can have all the opinions about what Trump says or what Biden says or what anybody says, right? But if you're in the news media, you're supposed to report on facts. You say what Trump actually said, and if you want to add further context, you can point to, what he's done in the past and suggest that, in your opinion, you think that he's actually trying to get him killed. But you just run around and you keep saying it. And
So you can kill me?
No,
kill the chairman of the Joint Chiefs?
I want you to wake up
Shut
every
down
morning
NBC?
and go, I want you to wake up every morning and go, I want you to cry like all the people that cried when he made America dope. It's people like you that are dividing us. All right, I don't give a shit about personality. I want policy. I want to live in a safe fucking country. All right, I want the border to be secure. I want the economy to be killing. All right, I don't want people like you.
I don't know.
Like,
You seem
he's the boogeyman.
you seem a little rattled to me.
Not at all, bro.
Grifter versus grifter.
Vein in your
Yeah,
head.
it's called passion.
It's vein in your
Yeah,
head.
I have passion.
What do you think about what he's asking about killing the Joint Chiefs of Staff as a
So
veteran?
he's for it.
The what?
For it. Kill him, right?
What do you
Kill
want?
Milley?
What?
When Trump wants to kill Milley.
Maybe
you'll shoot him.
I didn't hear it.
You didn't hear it? You just said it. You said it. Trump just said he wanted to kill Milley. You against him killing Milley?
When did that happen?
Yeah, it happened 3 days ago.
Okay, I didn't see it. Okay.
of course he didn't see it. Whenever your guy does something that makes things look very, very bad for you, yeah, you never happen to see it. No matter how big the story is, no matter how many people talking about it. Oh, I never heard anything about it. It's the first time I'm hearing about it. I can't comment on it because I haven't seen it myself. I'm not going to comment on something I haven't seen myself.
The punishment would have been death regarding the phone call that he made to China.
No. Well, these are some combination of Trump's tweets, statements.
Okay, so he didn't actually say it.
No, he actually absolutely said it.
I'm looking for the actual quote of what you said that he said.
First of all,
He ordered death.
Number one,
Bullshit.
It's number one. It's treason to talk to China behind the president's back.
What?
That's number one.
No,
But number
Per the definition of the word treason, it was absolutely not treason for many reasons. For the general to speak to China behind the president's back. Now, there's a potential other laws that might have been violated based on doing that, but treason it is not, per the definition. They wanted to look up the actual quote of what Trump said, but are they gonna look up what treason actually means? No.
two,
No, it's not.
But can I give you my number two?
Yeah.
My number two is I don't support those words. Here's what you have to realize. I don't sit there and support every word a candidate's going to say, left or right.
And this is what you call being a master propagandist, which this guy definitely is. He defends Trump's words, then says he doesn't agree with the words, and he's not going to support every single thing that Trump says, right? Very clever. The way he defends Trump is by, saying, hey, it is treason. So if you're saying it is treason, and treason is something that is punishable by death, right? I believe that is the current standard, right? So if you're saying that it is treason, then you're saying that General Milley should be put to death because you're saying he committed the crime, which the punishment would be death, right? So that's the way he's saying Trump is right, and then he's like, I don't agree with Trump. What? But again, you say this to people that don't have the full context, and they're thinking, they don't look at what he actually said. They're thinking that he literally said this guy should die, or I'm going to kill this guy, or whatever, right? Based on the way the words people are using, right? So in their minds, he said something he didn't actually say. And then they thinking that, go and tell other people. And this spreads around. And they have a bunch of people believing that he said something he didn't actually say. I can see Russia from my house. Sarah Palin never said that, right? But ask millions of people, they'll argue with you and say she actually did say that. She never, ever said, I can see Russia from my house, right? That was a Saturday Night Live skit. Trump never said this general should be killed. He never said he wants him killed. He never said what he did warrants death or I think he should be killed. None of that, right? He simply made reference to the fact that in the past, in his opinion, what he did would be punishable by death. So at a minimum, he is making a point that whatever General Milley did is very, very serious in terms of a betrayal, in terms of treacherous, whatever. Like that's definitely clear that he's saying that. Now, as far as inspiring death or suggesting death or insinuating that death is a good idea, that's all extrapolations from his actual words. right? His words were bad enough. His words were bad enough. Why do we have to be so greedy with stuff like this? Why don't you just stick to the words he actually said and point out how bad they actually were? Why go around and say he said something he didn't actually say to give ammunition to right-wing propagandists that you guys are the liars and they're the ones telling the truth? I don't know. This is Baby Channel. Debate me in the comment section below. Click on the like button, subscribe, smash that bell. Be well. I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like I'm wasting my time with stuff like this. Like, people just, they just keep doing what they're doing. They're gonna do what they do. People will argue with me, you know, no, we know that's what he really means. Why dance around and da. Wow. And then when they do the same thing in reverse, then it's a problem, right? If Joe Biden points out MAGA extremists, blah blah blah, and then he points out that, you know, this is a small group or something like that, you know, then some right winger wants to say, yeah, he's just saying that because of blah blah blah, but he means all of us. We're all terrorists or whatever, right? And that's not what he said. He didn't actually say that. He actually specifically said that's not what he's saying. But then you can go do the same thing. Instead of us looking at each other as so different, maybe focus on how we are so much alike.